While a lot of Bears fans are discussing who's going to be the running back and what the Bears should do with the running back room, both Ben Johnson and Ryan Poles have already pointed to several rookies that are going to shift the Chicago Bears depth chart. We're going to talk about it all and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host, Derek Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, y'all. And both Ben Johnson and Ryan Poles have made comments over the last couple of days that points towards several Chicago Bears rookies coming in and having an opportunity to upset the depth chart for the Chicago Bears, if you even want to call it that, right? We know that there's going to be a battle at the left tackle position, one in which it's already seemed like the Chicago Bears have kind of shown their hand that Ozzy Trapillo is going to have the leg up when it comes to that. I think that's a big thing when it comes down to it. Overall, I think that when you look at Ozzy Trapillo, he's the guy. You draft him in the second round. He comes in. He's going to be battling with Braxton Jones. But from the way that even Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson in their interviews on the radio have talked about Ozzy Trapillo, it basically points towards it being Ozzy Trapillo's job to lose. With Kieran Amagaje, Braxton Jones having an opportunity to come in there and compete for it, but it already seems like that. Ben Johnson was on the radio yesterday in which he also was asked about Ozzy Trapillo, and the way in which he talked about glowingly about Ozzy Trapillo was completely, I think it really did open a lot of eyes when it came down to that. So Ozzy Trapillo is, of course, the first one, but it's one that we all kind of expected at a position we all kind of expected to to be up for grabs anyway, right? And so, Braxton's still going to have a lot of opportunities. Kieran Amagaje coming into his second year is going to have a lot of opportunity as well, way more than last year. It's good that he's coming into training camp fully healthy, things like that. But Ozzy Trapillo's that first guy that you look at and you're like, yeah, there's clearly a spot for him. He's clearly going to come in and be able and have an opportunity to win that job and be the Bears starting left tackle for however long he can hold on to that position. Big body, doesn't give up sacks, doesn't really get penalized. You can't bull rush him. All those things that we just talked about already give him a leg up on Braxton. And while Braxton has not been as terrible as some people have made him out to be, it's clear that Braxton has some limitations. The penalties and the bull rush alone leave him in a spot where he's susceptible to lose his starting spot. And that's just what it comes down to. But then the surprise one, right? So we started off with one that we expect. One that's a little bit a surprise when it comes down to is simply the fact that Major Bruns is a guy that Ryan Poles specifically talked about when he was on the radio. And the way that he talked about Major Bruns, you can clearly hear in Ryan Poles' voice that they feel like they got themselves a steal an undrafted free agent Major Bruns. I think Power Echoes plays a part into that as well. But Major Bruns is a guy that, he fits Dennis Allen's system, right? He fits what Dennis Allen likes. And let's be clear, Ryan Poles has had some absolute success with an undrafted linebacker as well before, right? And we saw that happen when it came down to cornerback. Why do I keep talking about him as a linebacker? I'll be tripping. The safety, Major Bruns. He coming in here, he's gonna have an opportunity in that secondary to really come over and help. I was thinking about Power Echoes to come over there and help in that safety position. Major Bruns being a guy in the secondary that Dennis Allen likes to use. That you already have kind of an opportunity in that secondary as well with Major Bruns, with Jaquan Brisker's injury history, Kevin Byard being a free agent at the end of the year. Jonathan Owens is solid, right? But I think overall, like, you're really looking as well as the opportunity that, Major Bruns is coming in here and he's going to have a lot of chances in camp. And his ability in coverage, his ability to be used inside the box, outside the box. There's a lot when it comes down to it. I think Major Bruns and Power Echoes are both two guys that really have an opportunity to come in here and play well for the Chicago Bears. And I think that's the thing that's looking down at it. Broski Bears says penalties can't anchor, misses games. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong in that as far as with Braxton Jones. So, but Major Bruns is a guy to keep a lookout. Him and Tashim as well. I think Tashim Johnson as well. Like, these are two guys that really fit the mold of what Dennis Allen likes, especially in that secondary. And they're two very versatile players as well. And when you hear Ryan Poles talks about Major Bruns, like I said, he talks so glowingly about him. And Ryan Poles is a guy that can get caught up for sure. In He can get very caught up in guys that he brings in. And that's one of Ryan Poles' kind of blind spots, is that he can bring in a guy and he just loves him, right? You saw it in Hard Knocks last year, in him talking about guys that he's worked with at other places and things like that. But Major Bruns being 6'3", 4.5 speed, 37-inch vertical when it comes down to it, the way that he looked, how many tackles he had, pass breakups, all of that when it comes down to it. I think that's the thing that's really going to help out for Major Bruns at the next level when it comes down to it. And he is going to have an opportunity. The instincts, the physicality that he plays with, those are all things that you really look at and you say, I can see Dennis Allen liking that. Now, can you crack the rotation in the secondary for the Bears? That's the biggest question here. Tashim Johnson as well. Tashim has a problem with the fact that he's 5'10", 195 pounds, but there really seems to be a lot of faith in bringing in these two guys, and that's where it comes down to. So the Bears are betting on upside. They're betting on what Major Bruns can bring as an undrafted free agent, and I think that's a guy that they have a lot of confidence in. So, we'll see what happens when it comes down to that one. Shout out to Hayes. Next time you see in the city, food on me. Hey, did you enjoy it? Was I right? I told you I know wings. I know wings, and I hope that you loved it when you were in the city, man. Major Bruns was my nickname in college. Wow. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Listen, Lord, if you were majorly burning, bro, I don't know what to tell you on that one. But so those two guys are guys as well that I think have an opportunity. And then you look at the guys that we drafted in the first round. Luther Burden III. I don't know how much people have really gotten to go in and really look at his tape since he got drafted. I can see while some of the concerns were there as far as is his ability to play on the outside. I'm telling you right now, Luther Burden, he's not going to pass up Rome Odunze or DJ Moore on the depth chart in this first year. And I don't think you want him to. You want him in that slot. But when I tell you that he has the chance to become, I can easily see Luther Burden by the end of the season being Caleb Williams' favorite target. I can really see it. The way that he gets out in the open field, the way that he comes across that middle, the big body that he has, the hands that he has as well. That's a guy that I look at and I say, Luther Burden is going to be special. And Ben Johnson talked about, that as well, as far as why they felt like Luther Burden was a player that they could not miss on. Now, in reality, every coach after they draft a guy is going to tell you, oh no, this guy is the guy that we feel like is going to be an absolute steal, but it feels legitimate with Luther Burden, right? A great point from Broski Bear here. Burden led college football in broken tackles and yards after the catch last season. He's a slot receiver, and that's what we needed. And that's, if you look at the history under Ben Johnson, the slot receiver gets a lot of attention in Ben Johnson's system, and sometimes is the most productive statistically as well under Ben Johnson. And Luther Burden is going to bring that for the Chicago Bears this year. And like I said, I know the title of the video is Ben Johnson points to rookies who can upset or shake up the Bears depth chart. Like I said, I don't expect Luther Burden to move in a wide receiver 2 or anything like that. But the special part is you don't need him to. The shakeup that Luther Burden is going to bring here to this team is that I think him and Colston Loveland, 2 rookies, are going to have a huge opportunity to be Caleb Williams' favorite targets this year. I really believe that when you look at how they both are in possession, how they both are enabled to just the versatility and schemes and the places that you can line them up at, right? The safety valves that they can be for I'm telling you, man. And I spend some time. I'm a Bears fan through and through, right? And that's something that I've been very clear about. I don't try to hide. I've been a Bears fan my entire life. So I can sometimes get caught up in the excitement of being, I'm a fan first, right? Like this being an analyst thing, I came into this because I was a fan, right? So I've had to learn to separate the fan part of the Cordero, the fan, from Hayes, the podcaster, right? So I've had to learn how to do that. But in watching the tape of these guys and sitting down over the last almost 2 weeks, really digging into like I thought about doing it. And I may start doing this maybe next year. But I thought about doing a series on playback where I just go in and just watch tape, just do tape breakdowns, let you guys come in there and hang out. We just look at some tape and review some things. I'm probably going to do it for Bull Central this offseason with rookies. But I've sat down over the last week, 10 days, however long it's been since the draft. I probably watched about a good 10 hours of tape on these rookies. Now, not to say that that's a lot. Like if the coaches in the NFL are probably watching hundreds of hours of tape. But I've gone in and watched probably 10 hours of tapes on these guys that we drafted. And in looking at Luther Burden and what he could potentially bring with size, speed, and possession at that slot receiver position. Listen, cornerbacks, opposing secondaries, and linebackers who drop into coverage, they're going to have themselves a whole entire fit with Luther Burden. I really do believe that. That's not to gas because he's a Bear. I'm just looking at this guy's tape, and I'm just like, this dude is an absolute monster once he gets the ball. He almost turns into like a running back once he gets the ball in his hands. Now, there is some problems with advanced route running, kind of some of the elusive route running moves, but that's why he's a slot receiver right now. And I'm not saying he can't work on those things. But I'm looking at this tape from Luther Burden, and it just shows me a guy that he just has such a head about himself and an intentionality. When he gets the ball, that dude not only welcomes contact, but he also knows how to shake you out of it. And that's something crazy when it comes down to it, man. So it's wild. And if you guys go to chicagobears.com, you actually have Declan Doyle, the Bears offensive coordinator, talks about both Colston Loveland and Luther Burden. And when it came to Luther Burden, he said this: you can use him in a lot of different ways. The goal is to bring him here, figure out what he does well, and see if he can find ways to get touches where he can impact the game. We're trying to build depth and competitiveness at each position. They felt good about the value of that pick. And the more guys that come in and contribute for us, the better. He also described Luther Burden as a weapon with the ball in his hands and an explosive talent. I tell you what, man. I'm telling you right now, Luther Burden has the chance to, I think, not only in his rookie year, come into a position where the Bears have the position for him. They have the position for him. They have the scheme for him. They have all of that. And it's now looking like they like the Bears they may have gotten, as far as the quality, the production that they're going to get out of these guys at the place where they picked them at, they may have gotten 3 steals in this draft. Luther Burden being one of them, Ozzy Trapillo being another one, and Kyle Monangai being another one in round 7. Now, Monangai is going to have an uphill battle. And I mean that in the sense that just that all 7th round picks have. But when you look at Kyle Monangai, I would not be surprised at all if Kyle Monangai is a guy that through training camp, throughout the preseason, he's going to get a lot of looks in preseason, that you hear a lot of Bears fans that say, hey, this guy needs to get a lot of opportunity. I don't know if he's going to have a chance to win the starting position. I know Ben Johnson has said that there's no depth right now, but Kyle Monangai is another guy that I look at and I'm just like, what he does in blocking at his size, how much of a pit bull he is at blocking is really crazy. Declan Doyle, in that same interview on Bears.com, when it came to Kyle Monangai, said this: there's a lot to be developed there when guys run that way. He's a physical runner who's going to come in and do the dirty work and really going to add to that room and compete. And that's really where we were looking at for in that slot. You talk about do the dirty work, right? One thing that DeAndre Swift, no matter how you view him at, he's not great between the tackles. Kyle Monangai is a guy that is really good between the tackles. He's really good at pass blocking. And we'll see what happens with the Nick Chubb and the J.K. Dobbins rumors and things like that. But I do think that Kyle Monangai is going to have an opportunity to earn himself a spot in this rotation, especially when you look at Travis Homer's above him. Ian Willer's going to come back. And then it just becomes about what does he offer more than like a Roschon? Health. He definitely offers that. He doesn't have the size of a Roschon Johnson, but he is, a guy who's healthy. He doesn't fumble the ball, right? And DeAndre Swift is, again, better than what some Bears fans give him credit for, but he's not at a place where you cannot move on and bring in somebody that's better than him as well. So I think that's what you look at. And we'll see, man. I really feel very confident about a lot of these guys. And keep in mind, I didn't even mention yet our first round pick in Colston Loveland, who I saw somebody said it in the chat. And this is, again, not anything at all by a knock on Cole Kmet. But I can absolutely see a world in which Colston Loveland is tight end number 1 by the end of the season. Again, and that's not to knock Cole Kmet. I think Cole Kmet can have a great season here for the Chicago Bears under Ben Johnson. But you look at the versatility, you look at the ability to exploit mismatches with Colston Loveland. He's going to gain some muscle, of course, over time when it comes down to that. But this dude is a playmaker and a play finisher, right? In a way that, even though I am a Cole Kmet fan, you guys can go back in the history of it. I think Cole Kmet has the opportunity to be one of the better tight ends in the game of football. But Colston Loveland has an opportunity to transcend what you think a tight end can be in the NFL. And I mean, he can line up in as the slot receiver. You may not need that as much with Luther Burden, but he can. He can go in the backfield some. Like, Colston Loveland is one of those guys that you may not look at as being the guy in your system, but he's one of the guys that can make your offense dynamic. And I think you have to have a running game, of course, anytime that you want to use your tight end, and that's up to the Chicago Bears to get that. But you look at just everything that he potentially brings to this team, and you start realizing, wait a second here. Wait a second, right? And then I don't know if you guys got a chance to see the report yesterday that it seems like the Bears really, like, they did play. We talked about it a little bit before, right? Is that as much as the Tyler Warren talk was around there, that clearly the Bears always had Colston Loveland above that. And that there were a lot of teams that were calling to move up into the teens, ideally looking for Colston Loveland to be the target there. And they didn't get him because the Bears took him. Now, this is going to be a bit of a pause to start this quote, but this comes from one of those random NFL execs that says, Loveland is going to catch 1 million balls. That's the quote. I didn't come up with that. That's the quote. That, first of all, that's an old person that said that, because the fact that no pause, no nothing, you said he's going to catch 1 million balls. Tiana Trump needs to be a little bit worried, right? That's all I'm saying. But they went on to say that he will be better than Sam Laporta. He's such a good receiver, and he's bigger, 2 inches taller, and another 10 pounds. They will have an 11 personnel package with Burden in the slot, and a 12 package with Burden in the off field, and Loveland and Kmet on the field. They're pretty well set up. Your first pick, in some ways, a statement about what the team needs and how they're going to play and how they're going to win. Loveland is an interesting choice, and I think you can tell it's coach driven. First of all, 1 million balls. I'm going to just keep going back. That's crazy. That's crazy. But if Colston Loveland comes in and is anything that they've basically said that he could be, even a fraction of that, that is a weapon for you. And I love Cole Kmet, but I can absolutely see him passing it up. Like, I can see it, bro. So we'll see. We shall see. But I think this Bears team got a lot. I think the Bears team has a lot of talent here. Gregory says, confident the Bears don't have proven running backs. They do. I'm sorry. DeAndre Swift has proven that he can be productive for you. That's it. He's been productive. When you look at last year behind that offensive line and an offense that sucked, DeAndre Swift had almost 1,400 yards from scrimmage, over 900 yards on the ground with a terrible. I'm not saying that he's going to come in and we're going to have a top 10 running attack, but I'm saying that we're going to have an above average running attack, mainly because of the way that we improve the offensive line. So there you go on that one. When I saw that quote, I was like, who they got quoting that? Yeah, definitely an Unc. Definitely Unc, bro. Definitely Unc. That's crazy. What am I getting tired of hearing is to get rid of DJ and Cole. Like we can see what we have before to get rid of the talent like damn people. Oh, yeah. And that's why I say I'm not talking about getting rid of. And even then, Luther Burden is not here to replace DJ Moore. He's just not. He's not that good on the outside yet. He's a slot receiver through and through. And I'm not saying let's get rid of Cole Kmet, but I am saying that I could see Colston Loveland passing him up by the end of the year. But I think what in Ben Johnson's system, you keep both of them. Unless you need the money, you're going to keep both of them for the foreseeable future. That's just what I think. Imagine Luther and Colston on the line, and Luther goes to the slot, and Colston does will from the slot to the boundary of the field. Cornerbacks beware. Absolutely. Absolutely. Doug Key in the building says, "Hey, is my boy. What's the word? Goddamn, you up early with the Roosters. Anyhow, who's your favorite rookie of all of them? Mine's is Luther Burden, aka Mr. East St. Louis. First off, shout out to East St. Louis. Don't cross that bridge unless y'all ready. For those that don't know, if you ever go back and watch, one of the vacation movies, I think it was the first one. When they park and they ask for directions and they get the wheel stole off their car while they're asking for directions, that was supposed to be East St. Louis. East St. Louis is a monster. As somebody who lived in St. Louis for 11 years, East St. Louis is a monster, bro. Don't cross that bridge unless you're ready for what comes with crossing that bridge. That's all I'll say. I'll leave it at that. But with that said, yeah, I mean, Luther Burden has the chance to be that, but I'm really looking at Colston Loveland. I'm looking at Colston Loveland. But I also think Ozzy Trapillo has the chance. Like, Ozzy Trapillo is going to have that role that like after like week 2, people are going to be like, oh my God, he's so much better than Braxton. And then they're just going to let him do his job and they're not going to talk about him anymore. Like, that's typically what happens with linemen, but that's what you want to happen with linemen. Usually through commentary and things like that, a lot of people don't talk about linemen when they're doing their job, right? They just don't. They may talk about some plays where they make an amazing block to open up a gap or something, but day to day, a lot of people don't talk about linemen when they're actually doing their job. And I think that's the job of the offensive line, is to make it to where we're not talking about the offensive line, right? The fact that we've talked about the offensive line so much over the 3 years that this podcast has been a thing shows you how bad the offensive line is, right? Because it's been terrible. It's been absolutely terrible. I liked a bit more than 3.8 yards per carry. Agreed. 100% agree with that. Luther Burden here to replace Keenan Allen. I mean, yeah, of course, initially in year 1, absolutely. It would be awesome if Ian Willer and Monongai could become the Bears versions of Knuckles and Sonic. Here's the thing. I think a lot of you guys really like Ian Willer was a great training camp and preseason story. I got to see more before I'm willing to like. And I'm not saying you specifically, but I think a lot of Bears fans have all of a sudden like done this thing where it's like, oh my God, Ian Willer's going to come in and be able to be a starter. Like, he got a lot to show, and maybe he can do that, but we'll see. We'll see. Bears will address the long-term solution at running back at next offseason draft. Can address everything this offseason. It's more than a 1-year process to get right. Facts, Broski Bear. Absolutely. I love that. Absolutely. Broski Bear, that's you're spot on with that one. It's not going to be as simple as fixing and that's what we do as fans, right? We want to see our team fix everything in one offseason. It's very rarely the case. It's very rarely realistic to be able to do that. But the Bears have put themselves in a really good position to try to knock some things out. Let's hope that they can. That's all I'll say. I'll leave it at that one. But I like this Bears rookie class. Even some of the undrafted free agents I like a lot, and I see the potential that they have as well. Like, this is an opportunity, I think, for the Bears. Like, the Bears are going to really surprise some people this year. The 12 personnel package, 11-man personnel, those are going to be really important for the Bears this year. So we'll see. I heard we called Seattle regarding Kenneth Walker III yesterday. Maybe the Bears are trying to swing for him that can make this offense take in higher levels. That was actually unsubstantiated. I saw the same thing. I got an alert, but then when you dug deeper into it, it started from like one unrequested source that really didn't actually source it, and it has never broken anything in the past. So I'll believe it when I see it. I don't think the Bears are looking to make that any really trades. I think at this point, the Bears are trying to find out what they have going on in their running back room. I do think that is probably the focus. I don't think the Bears are going to make a swing at somebody like Kenneth Walker III, personally. But hey, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If news breaks, we'll drop the episode. So, it is what it is there. I definitely like running the ball. I'm a Bears fan after all, but I like to see the football that succeeds to the quarterback. Feel you on that, Crimson. Like, let's actually change up what the Bears have been known for, right? I mean, you didn't draft Caleb Williams for you to just it to be all about the Bears running game again. Now, you want to have solid and performance all up and down your total offense for sure. You want every facet of the game to be at a certain level. But we didn't draft. We didn't, especially while we had Fields, we didn't draft and move on to not make the quarterback the focus. And I think a lot of what we did this offseason is about putting them in a better position. I don't like the running backs available in free agency. Is there a possibility they will trade for a running back? If so, who? I don't. Here's the thing, right? Typically, in any other offseason, I would say yes. But I do think the Bears really do believe they have a chance to make the playoffs this year. And because of that, I think they're gonna be more protective over their picks because they're not gonna be as high as what they used to be, right? Hopefully the Bears aren't picking 10, 12, any of that anymore. So I think because of that, you're probably not going to see. And again, keep in mind the running back class next year is really, really deep as well. So I don't think the Bears are going to try to swing for a trade to give up future assets unless it's an asset that's not really that much. But I think you're going to see the Bears sign it. I know that they all have their own issues, but let's be clear here: if J.K. Dobbins or Nick Chubb does stay healthy, that completely upgrades the Chicago Bears running back room for this season. I think those are both going to be shorter term signings as well. Hayes, what do you think about Shamar Turner? To me, I think Dennis Allen sees Cameron Jordan. I think Shamar Turner I think he's really raw in some places, but he has the legit, size and strength. But I do think, he's going to have to come in and work. And I think that they're going to develop him up. I don't know how much in year one, as long as they have big Billings in there, that he's going to play. But if he shows enough, I do think he's going to have a spot in the rotation, with maybe taking an even bigger spot in the rotation going forward into next season. Coming to this draft with clear needs of left tackle, defensive end, nose tackle, running back, linebacker. I feel like we didn't accomplish any of those needs. How wrong am I in this statement? Quite considerably. Ozzy Trapillo is going to start at left tackle, period. Defensive end, I don't think was as much as a need as what people made it out to be, because I think they are very confident in both Dayo Odeyingbo and Austin Booker coming into this year and the depth that they have there. I really do think that. Nose tackle, I mean, let's look like they got, and we don't have a nose tackle. We don't run that type of system, but defensive tackle, we got Javon Dexter, we got Grady Jarrett, we got Andrew Billings. We do have Shamar Turner, who I think is going to be able to come in here and perform right away as far as that depth piece that you need behind those other three guys. We addressed that. Running back, yeah, we didn't address that in the way that we think, but don't overlook the ability to be better. And linebacker, I don't think they ever were really looking at linebacker too hard. And the reason why is because Dennis Allen runs only two linebackers the majority of the time. And you're going to see the eight defensive backs in there. And you're going to see a lot of Kyler Gordon lining up in there as basically a pseudo linebacker and take account of his versatility. So I think that you may have had that need, but I don't think that was a need that the team, with the way that the system's currently going to be ran up at. I'm looking at this Bears team like I look at Manchester United. New coach, some old players, not his, and iffy of front office. Playoffs maybe, but you have to beat the team you're supposed to beat. Facts, absolutely. They definitely have to beat the teams that they're supposed to beat and beat some of the ones that they don't. So I think Shamar Turner can play either DT spot, but I don't see him playing on the edge. I like the pick. He reminds me of a young Grady Jarrett. It could very well be. So we shall see what happens there. Do you think Major Bruns will replace Jonathan Owens? I think he can, for sure. I definitely think he can. So we shall see what happens and see how it goes, man. But all right, y'all. I appreciate y'all so much, man. You guys are amazing. I know this one started early, but I got a lot to do. I already did Bull Central. I had to knock out Bear Central. I got to get an NBA Central in there, which for those that don't know, NBA Central we're in the process of converting it to 6-man shenanigans. I wanted a more catchy name. I know everything's kind of branded. The channel will still be branded NBA Central, but the show is going to be called 6-Man Shenanigans. So if you're a basketball fan, look out for that. I got to do Locked On NBA, got to do Locked On Bulls. So I got a lot of shows to do today. That's why this episode's so early today. Thank you guys for tuning in with me. It's like 6-something a.m. Chicago time. So you guys are really rocking with me early. I appreciate y'all so much. Make sure you guys, by the way, are following us at Shy Bear Central. You send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. ChicagoBearCentral@gmail.com. Lastly, if you guys want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related, but that is thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, go Bears. Well, no, Chi-Town up, bear down, y'all. Love you guys. Peace.